let's break down second base. Up next on Fantasy Baseball Today in 5. Welcome into FBT in 5 on Wednesday, February 7th. I am Frank Sample, joined by Scott White. And let's start off with a little strategy talk. Scott, is second base a good position? What do you find yourself doing at second base?
Second base is maybe the most interesting position, certainly the most interesting position on the infield, because it has a lot of players who deserve to start, more than enough to go around, but not that many that you feel great about. And more than anything, second base stands out by being a position with a lot of diverse offerings in that middle round range, which is more useful in a categories league where you're looking to balance those different contributions than a points league, obviously. But you have your, depending on how your draft has gone up to that point in a roto league, let's say, if you need more steals, you could go for a Ha-seong Kim or Bryson Stott or Andres Jimenez, somebody like that. If you need more power, you can go for a Ketel Marte or a Gleyber Torres or a Nolan Gorman. If you need batting average, of course, Luis Arraez, the great batting average specialist, is there. So there's not normally in a roto league somebody I put an asterisk beside saying I'm targeting this guy in the draft. It's really more, how has the draft gone for me at that point? What do I need most?
All right, let's start things off here with some sleepers. Scott, who is a second baseman you've been targeting?
Brandon Lowe, who is about the 280th player drafted on average, which just seems crazy low given his track record, given where we were drafting him the last 2 years. I would say he is still, if you give everybody an equal number of at-bats, it's going to be between Mookie Betts, Nolan Gorman, and Brandon Lowe, who finishes with the most home runs. He had 21 in 109 games last year. Now, I understand he's going late because you don't give everybody the same number of at-bats. But, if he can avoid the health issues of the past couple years, if he can avoid falling into the Rays situation where he's sitting too often, then he could still be a 30-homer guy, and there's way more upside than downside at the point where he's going.
I'm going to cheat a little bit here. Vaughn Grissom is the sleeper for me. He's only shortstop eligible on CBS to start the year, but should gain that second base eligibility soon after that. He came over to the Red Sox in the Chris Sale trade. Great park for right-handed batters. Obviously, Fenway there with the Green Monster. You remember a couple of years ago in 2022, Vaughn Grissom, borderline league winner down the stretch that year, 51 games with the Braves. He hit .291 with 5 homers and 5 steals. And he's been a really, really good hitter in the minors as well. .320 career hitter down there with an .884 OPS. I'm excited for Vaughn Grissom to just be unleashed. Maybe 15 homers, 15 steals with a good batting average. I like it where he's going currently in ADP. What about a breakout, Scott? Who do you have that can excel here at second base?
Well, I'm going really deep here with Davis Schneider, who's going he's going like the 400th player draft. He's not getting drafted in most leagues, but he's currently in line to get the most at-bats at second base for the Blue Jays. And he had a great season at AAA Buffalo, came up to the majors and basically did the same things. Got on base at a better than a 400 clip. He walks a lot and delivered good power production. Not somebody whose exit velocities jump out at you, but he's optimized his swing for power, putting it in the air to his pull side. And because it carried over to the majors, I think Davis Schneider could really surprise people this year if he does get regular playing time for the Blue Jays.
Breakout for me is going to be Nolan Gorman, who has an ADP of 196.2. Technically already broke out last year, hit 27 homers with 7 steals, did that in just 119 games. So if he can stay on the field, could we get 35 homers, 6 to 8 steals in the middle of that Cardinals lineup? There's obviously prospect pedigree here. The StatCast data lines up with it. We're looking at a 16.5% barrel rate for Nolan Gorman, 97th percentile. Going around pick 200, I think this is fantastic power production at that point in the draft. What about a bust, Scott? Someone that you are looking to avoid at second
Finally, we
base.
talk about somebody in the draftable range. That's Ha-seong Kim, who is going around 85th overall. And my biggest concern for Ha-seong Kim is that the 17 homers that he hit last year in Mirage, only 7th percentile average exit velocity and only 3rd percentile hard hit rate. He does optimize his swing, fly balls to his pull side, but that still seems like not enough to get to 17 home runs. Had 38 steals. That's the main thing he brings to the table. Basically, he's going so far ahead of Bryson Stott and Andres Jimenez that it's hard to justify for me.
A bust for me is going to be Luis Arraez. The ADP is around 130, and he hit 354 last year, but obviously that came down in the second half. He's more of a 325 career hitter, so I just don't think that he's going to replicate that batting average, and he really does not provide much outside of that. So inside of the top 150, it's just not going to be for me. Our favorites to draft, for Scott, it's going to be Zach Geloff. For me, cheating a little bit again, I like Jose Altuve up top. He goes the last of the top 4. But if I miss out on him in the middle rounds, looking at Gleyber Torres, if you want to find out why we like those names, then you will listen to the full-length podcast, Fantasy Baseball Today, which you can listen to on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, the Audacy app, or anywhere else podcasts are found. Thanks for listening to Fantasy Baseball Today in 5, and we'll be back again tomorrow. Bye-bye.